Nagpur team, all dignitaries, and my dear brothers and sisters. On behalf of ICI Nagpur Center, I welcome you all. It is a warm welcome to all of you. Today is Cement Day, which is 21st October. On 21st October, as told by Sirgadkar sir. Brief of this Cement Day will be delivered soon by Virendra Dehadrai sir. We were about to have today's function offline, as said by Sandeep. All arrangements and bookings were done, but due to some unavoidable circumstances, due to Corona, ACC has urged us to conduct it online. We know the advantages and disadvantages of offline and online programs. To enjoy these events, we prefer to go offline, but to join our friends from distances, it is well to connect online. To cancel offline program, but we are glad to see you all from distances. I will not take much time, as we all are here to listen to Sri Gadgir sir and Honorable Vinaij Gupta sir. I take this opportunity to welcome you all for this celebration. Heartily welcome you. Thank you. Sandeep Sirgadkar sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for
Thank you.
your small and sweet address on this occasion, and we can understand that you were, about to host all of us, but unfortunately you could not, and that you expressed. Let's move ahead. Yeah. Let us try to understand what exactly Cement Day, how it is, why it is celebrated. To throw some light on this occasion or the celebration of the Cement Day, may I request none other than our own Secretary, Dr. Virendra Dehadrai, to come forward and enlighten us about the Cement Day activities and how we celebrate it. Please, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I am sorry I cannot put on my video because we have lost the power failure at our house. So I am with the battery of my cell phone. So good evening all. To start with a small history behind the Cement Day we are celebrating in ICI. When our enthusiastic, dynamic engineer Manoj Kawalkar was chairman of Nagpur, he called Mr. Arun Godgate of ACC Cement for a meeting of one of the national conference. During the meeting, he told Manojji, Ms. Atulji of ACC, that you are having tie-up with Ultratech for Concrete Day, you are having tie-up with Ambuja for Concrete Talk, then why not ACC? So please think and give your proposal. Then why not Cement Day? And concluded that we should celebrate Cement Day. ICC should celebrate Cement Day with ACC, as ACC is one of the oldest cement manufacturer of India. Then there was issue of date, on which date we should celebrate it. Then our founder secretary and past chairman of ICI, Dr. A.D. Pofle, and engineer Chandrasekhar Nidorkar, who is from ACC, and he is currently on the managing committee of ICI Nagpur Center, decided that we should celebrate it on the day when Sir Joseph Aspidin, who has taken the patent for Portland cement, on 21st October. So the date was also decided. As you have been aware, and I am again repeating that the Portland cement.
Go ahead.
Some disturbance. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. The invention of Portland cement is attributed to Joseph Aspdin of Leeds, Yorkshire, England, who in 1824 took out a patent for material. Mr. Mohin sir and Chandrasekhar sir for joining hands of ACC with ICI. On the first cement day, authority in India for cement and concrete, Dr. A.K. Malik was the expert speaker, and he talked on cement performance and its perspective for concrete and future trends. On the third cement day, we invited a of cement manufacturing. It's from cement and concrete experts. And then we started to turn to its implementation. And the industry experts were called on. On the fourth cement day, we invited a very senior and international expert, Professor Mahesh Tandon, man known for his unique designs. And he talked on tall, super tall, and mega tall buildings. On the fifth cement day, we
Recording
invited
stopped. Recording
on
in
the
progress.
bridges and road pavement. On sixth cement day, we invited renowned personality in the field of railways and metro construction, eminent engineer Shashikant D. Limaye, who is technical advisor to Pune Metro project. And he delivered very interesting and useful lecture on Mandvi and Zuari bridges of Konkan Railway, conceptualization and construction. Fortunately, we could follow. I'll start the video. Light has come. We could follow the sequence of lecture on cement day. We started with a rich experience of 50 years in construction and management. He brings with him superlative project management and HR management skills. He has astute business acumen and is a quintessential leader, an eloquent extempore orator. He worked with India's #1 construction company, L&T. My dear concrete-loving friends, you all will definitely appreciate the content of Gadgil sir's presentation and his presentation skills. I am sure his presentation will not have any complicated formula, chain reactions, chemical compositions, theoretical parts, and we will be having a bonanza of his huge experience as he explains project management of mega project in his eloquent way. I thank you all again and wish you very happy cement day addition to call, and have a wonderful hearing of the expert knowledge of the expert speaker. Thank you from my side, and over to Sandeep, Dr. Sandeep Shirkekar.
Thank you, Virendra Dehadraji, for throwing a light on the concept or the purpose and the history of celebration of ICI Nagpur Center along with ACC for the various events which we have conducted to celebrate this day. So thank you, Virendra, once again. Let's move further. Today we have Engineer Vinaij Gupta as the chief guest for today's evening. It's my pleasure to introduce him. He is not only chief guest for today's evening, but he is All India President for Indian Concrete Institute. It's really a pleasure to have you, sir, with us on this celebration of Cement Day 2021. Civil engineer from BITS Pilani, India in 1983 batch, Engineer Vinaij Gupta has been serving Messrs. Tandon Consultants Private Limited, India since 1987, lately as a director and CEO. He has been involved in planning and designing of various bridges, flyovers, vehicle passes, long span and tall buildings, elevated underground metro structures, steel structures, 275-meter tall chimneys, and quality control documents, engineering special structures, loads and stresses, concrete bridges, bearings and expansion joints, cable supported bridges. Awards, many awards, including best paper titled Seismic Design and Construction of Radisson Hotel, New Delhi, launching systems for segmental bridges and precast concrete stations for metro projects, a challenge to designers and constructions by IBC. Base paper titled Precast Concrete Stations for Metro Projects, a challenge to designers and constructor by UKRI. Pre-stress Concrete Design Awards 2013 by IEI. Coveted SB Joshi Memorial Award 2000. Engineer Gupta is also Vice President of Asian Concrete Federation and Vice President of iStructI. So here we have Engineer Vinaij, chief guest, the dynamic personality who has played many roles and various other structures throughout the country and throughout the world. So my request Engineer Vinaij Gupta to throw some light and to share his words of wisdom as a chief guest of today's function. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shirketkar, and thank you for this long introduction of mine. I think I made a mistake. I should have given a thing which would be half or 1/4 of this.
Sir, you
In any
deserve it,
case,
sir, you deserve it.
in any case,
Yeah.
so friends, a very good evening to you all. Good evening to the speaker, Mr. B.B. Gadgil. Good evening to the immediate past president, Mr. Vivek Naik. Good evening to Mr. Uttarwar, the current chairman, Manoj Kavalkar, past vice president, and good evening to all the executive committee members, all the participants, all the people who are making this event a successful one. In my perception, Nagpur is a very vibrant city in many ways. It has, of course, all these stalwarts I talked about just now. In Nagpur, Mr. Uttarwar and all the EC and all the very enthusiastic team of people. I have my special attachments with the city for various reasons. And one good fact is, given a small city, it has about 650 members. If we talk of the density of population vis-a-vis the members, I think it would be the highest. And correct me if I'm wrong, with the 600 over members or 650 members. So that shows the enthusiasm level of the people of Nagpur. Talking of this cement day, Mr. Uttarwar, I think, spoke about how we fixed up the date for cement day, or maybe Mr. Dadrai talked about it, Dr. Dadrai. All those days that you talked about, all those celebrations, whether it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, and whatever else, are on Sundays. But one difference here is it's not on a Sunday, it's on a working day. 1st October 1824 by Joseph Elston. So that's one difference. And since cement is a major constituent of concrete and we have an important day celebration of cement, a time may come then we say, okay, then aggregate day, there is a water day, there is admixture day, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so friends, this ICI was started in 1982 with just 500 members, spread over 5 centers with 13,000 members over 44 centers. And of course, there are many student chapters as well. And we are aiming to reach about 15,000 members from 13,000 today and about 50 centers over the next year. And many places are in the active mode of opening new centers at Bidar, Tirupati, Jammu, Srinagar, Leh, etc. They are in touch with me. But if you see the other side of it, in India, we have 20 lakh civil engineers as per AICT records. And out of 25, not even 1% are members of ICI. With just I fully endorse the fact that yes, due to last moment, things can change. There can be problems. But about 2-3 weeks ago, we had a physical, offline or in-person event that was in Mangalore, wherein there was an AGM, there was a conference, and there was, the special lectures, so we call it endowment lectures, and we had governing council meetings. All that took place very enthusiastically with enough participation, I must tell you. So I was also very enthusiastic about an in-person event. Somehow it had to be chemical engineer puts a flow process into this building or in this system. Electrical engineer puts energy into it. And the computer engineer puts a program for all this to start functioning. So when so many things are done by engineers, then they are the most important. We are engineer, ER so-and-so, and we are doing lots of innovative work for this country or whatever, or area where we are in. So with these things, and of course, today we have a very able speaker, engineer V.B. Gadgil, who is, there is a project which he has executed in the just few years ago, which is the largest single project of metro in this country. 70 odd kilometers of single metro stretched over 3 lines, of course, but totaling 70 odd kilometers, which is what he has executed. Of this lecture by Mr. Gadgil. And of course, I always wish this center, Nagpur center, a speedy growth, and don't get tired. Keep on having events after events, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words of wisdom, for sharing your own dreams, for sharing the the strength of the ICI in country, and certainly we are there to help you to complete your dreams, sir. Thank you so much for being with us on this occasion, and thank you for being a part of this one day 2021 by ICI and ACC Nagpur Center. Thank you very much, sir. अभी सरकार जब बात कर रही थी ना, तब मेरे व्हाट्सएप पे एक जोक आया, वो मैं सुनाना चाहूंगा आपको। एक बॉस ने जोक सुनाया, सारी टीम हंसने लगी। बॉस ने जोक सुनाया तो सारी टीम हंसने लगी। एक बंदा छोड़ के सारे लोग हंसने लगे। बॉस ने पूछा, यार तू क्यों नहीं हंस रहा, बाकी लोगों? नाउ इट इज टाइम टू लिसन टू सम प्रोडक्ट्स ऑफ ACC सीमेंट. We have with us Moin Khan sir, who is a customer service head, South and West region of India, and he will be throwing some light over various products of ACC cement. May I request Moin Khan sir to please come forward, and stage is open to you, sir. Please.
Thanks. Sorry. Thanks. Hello. Yeah, thanks, Sandeep Saab. And I'm not going to listen to Mr. VB Gadgil. हम लोग पूरा टाइम देना चाहते हैं because he just mega event होता था cement day. We were calling 200, 300 engineers all over from Vidarbha and Maharashtra. So definitely we will be continuing that. So once again, I welcome Engineer VB Gadgil, who is the today's expert speaker. I also welcome and my sincere thanks to Engineer Vinaij Gupta, President of ICI, Ganesh Chaudhary Saab, who is the regional head for in ICI, Engineer Arun Uttewar Saab, Chairman ICI Nagpur, Vinaij Nayak Saab, our old friend. I can't see you, but I think you are there.
Institute and ACC Cement Limited. I welcome you for those candidates who have joined late for this event. But yes, believe me, आप लेट तो हो गए होंगे, लेकिन जो आज जिस शाम जिसके लिए बनी है वो तो आपने मिस नहीं किया है, उसके तरफ हम आगे चलते हैं.
And all my dear friends of construction family, construction professionals, it's really a proud privilege for me to be amongst you, to be on the dais to celebrate these Cement Day celebrations. In fact, when Manoj approached me to be a guest speaker for this guest Cement Day celebrations, I was little wondering that I am not a cement technologist and what I am going to speak on the Cement Day celebration. But then he solved a problem very quickly. He said, we are all construction professionals. So probably everybody's close to heart is the subject of deciphering project management as I have understood. I have been a practicing project manager throughout my career of 47 years. And what I'm going to talk to you is a little different than the conventional project management taught in the business schools. And I would like to be on a simple terms, as somebody said, that no complicated management words, no jargons. And I will try to decipher that the way I. So going forward, I don't know why slide is not moving. Integrate the people to strategy, improve safety standards, of course, and quality and performance improvement. Basically, if you can see here, this is all everybody expects the result from the project management. And that is why we resort to project management. But before going forward, I would like to touch upon a very basic subject, that project management is not a single, as every knowledgeable subject or every subject, basically it gets divided into two parts, which is hardware and a software. In my and the software is the skills part of it. And as I was told, and many of us will agree, that there is a serious problem of understanding the difference between the knowledge and the skills. At international forums, many people have said that though India is greatly increasing the knowledge or knowledgeable areas, it is lacking the skills of implementing the knowledge. And that is where I want to decipher this project management more from the software side, that is the skill side, rather than the knowledge side. So please understand, the project management is equally proficient in knowledge as well as the skills. This is a very, very standard definition as taught in the business schools about the project management. Any management book, if you go, it will see the same definition in different forms or the same form. Basically, it is the discipline of initiating, planning, executing, controlling. It has got a specific meaning and importance in the particular definition. But here I would like to touch upon that project management is a very, very complicated subject on one side. It is very intriguing and it is also very, very interesting. And that is what it makes a very unique subject to real. And when I say master, there are many people have spent their lifetime to really master this project management. Practically millions of books have been written on project management. And still, a lot of people wonder what this animal project management is there. And that is the reason I said this probably will be a great subject, deciphering the project management in simple terms so that we can move forward. And the reason I am telling you, I have operated in international arena for many years. In the international fora is that India lacks really the professional management. And that is shown in their projects, either in completion, budget overruns, quality standards. So I always used to wonder, the same people when they go out in UAE, the projects are completed much, much better way than what normally we see in India. And what is that? So I started looking at project management from a different angle. And as I told you that I have been practicing project management throughout my career for almost last 45, 46 years once I left the site, actual site. So going forward, introduction of project management, basically I just want to conceptualize this, the theoretical part of it. The project management is a system approach to management. System approach basically focuses on the achieving or optimizing the performance or goal of the overall system and not the components. Please understand here the goal is more important, and achieving the complete goal in a proper format, and that is why it is known as the system approach. It is not the components which are given. It is important. Components are also important, but generally overall importance is given to the overall system. A project is a goal-oriented system, always. There has to be a goal-oriented system of interrelated components, tasks and stakeholders functioning in a large environment. Project environment is generally quite large. The purpose of the project management is to unify or integrate the components, the interests, the resources, work efforts of stakeholders, as well as schedules and plans to accomplish the project goal. As you can see that everybody will say that this is what we understand really that finally, and that is the reason I said that this is the theoretical part of it, that finally we need to integrate all the resources available in whichever form in one unified direction, so that really speaking, and many of you must be knowing that actually the projects do not happen only in construction site. Gone are those days that project was only defined something happening on the project site or construction site. But project, if it is qualifying for these 4 questions or 4 items, then it is called a project. Project basically is converting a vision, a dream, or a need to reality. This is very, very important. This is not a exercise. This is not a mental exercise, because finally we need to convert that into reality. And as somebody said, that engineer is the person, finally he finds the solution to convert everything in reality. It doesn't remain in paper. If it is going to remain in paper, then it is not project. Any job that has beginning and end, that it has got definitive start point and end point, that is anything which has got a specified outcome, that is scope, at a stated level of performance, the quality standards as we can call, and of course at a budgeted cost and not at any cost. There is a tendency of many people, I want this done at any cost. No, in project you don't do at any cost. It has to be in budgeted cost. And any job or any task which qualifies for all these four together, then you can consider this as a project. And projects do happen, and as you know, that even our friends in software, they have continuously they are on projects and they are achieving projects. So just to simplify, any work, any assessment, or any job that qualifies for all these four, then it is a project. And what are the characteristics of a project? It basically is a temporary, because it is time bound. It is not perpetual. It doesn't continue forever. Of course, the time, and just to picturize for easy understanding, basically it is what is a project and what is the difference here. Just I want to decipher that project and operation. Many people ask that question. What is the difference between a project and operation? Projects are temporary and unique. Operations are ongoing and repetitive. Objectives of the operation is to sustain business. It is to continue to do that business again and again, or to sustain the business. And the purpose of the project is to attain project goals, which are defined right in the beginning, or objective, and terminate. It doesn't continue. Once the goal is achieved, the purpose of the project is served, and then it is terminated. This is the normally project environment, what we can see. Generally, everybody is aware of that. The project, like I told you, that it is quite enormous, this thing, that it is contained by the external environment, where it can have political, economical, social, or technological nature, or even nature. Then you have company have no control over this environment. Company means the entity which is trying to execute the project generally do not have much or any control on it has to function. This is very extremely important. Internal environment is basically the company or the agency's environment, overall environment, where it is company policies, company's culture, available resources for the company, standards set by the company, the quality standards, and the organizational structure of the organization. From the internal environment of an organization, then we come to the actual project, because basically the education, that is the skill set or the qualifications of the people made available for this thing, personal experiences of those people who are going to work there, work ethics, what is generated out of that, which basically comes from the culture of the organization, and then the personal interest. Here, I would like to touch upon this subject little later, because personal interest do count in the project execution and the project environment. Now, project influence area. Normally, the project gets influenced by 2 or 3 conditions. One is the internal resource, what resources are going to be available, internal resource. The next one will be the customer requirement, because the customer focus or for somebody's requirement, so customer requirement. And the third is the external environment. Now, whenever the project management walks this particular stream, it is really walking a tightrope, because many a times the expectations are contradictory. They may not be unified or in single direction. The internal requirement or the internal resources available may not be suitable to the customer requirement. Finally, that is what happens. And external environment, like I told you, that very rarely we have control of that. And that is the influence area on any project. And project constraints. When we are working on a project project, we also have some constraints. And what I have enumerated here are the bigger of those things, and we will go ahead and decipher or talk about different things. All this we know, scope. Finally, it will depend on the scope, what exactly is the expected to complete this project, complete the scope in given time at given cost and as per the to deliver resources. I will come to that. Resources is the subject which really requires a lot of attention because it comes from, basically it comes from the first principle of economics. The entire economics has been developed on one assumption, or which is the truth, that the requirement or wishes are limited. And that is one of the single most factors that project management people resort to, because we do not have got abundant or unlimited resources at our disposal to complete this task. There will be always constraint on the resources. And finally, last but not the least, that what can go wrong and what can be done about it. These are the risks. I always talk about, whenever I talk about risk as a subject, risk cannot be totally avoided. There is anything in a risk. We have to really be knowledgeable about the risk and do something about or plan something about. Normally, the word used there is to mitigate the risk as far as possible and be prepared. We'll go there. But these are the constraints of a project, which real project or outcome of the project. Now, this is normally the project management plan. What happens? This is like a equation of anything or normal done by machine, that you have the inputs. You use the project techniques to convert that input into output, what is deliverable. Simple terms, input may be goal, team, money, time, equipment. You can list out all the inputs. And finally, you get into a technique which will convert this into out. This output is satisfactory. Then the project is called to be done satisfactorily or project is successful. That is how the work will be done. That is the project technique what we decide here on any project. I am not talking about now, presently I am talking about in a very general term, not only on the construction process. Now going forward, this is the very, very typical project management process that enter the phase that is initiating. In the definition, we have this initiating, the enter phase of the start project, then initiating. Then there is a continuous loop here, and it is very, very important. And many people forget this. And that is the failure. First failure of the project management happens here, that this is a continuous process. It cannot be interrupted at any level. Basically, it is the planning thing, which does the monitoring and controlling process, which is, in my opinion, is the real fundamental or the foundation of any project management, that is planning. And all of us, we are aware that planning becomes, and then it goes to the execution phase. Whatever is planned, we try to execute. And it is known, all of us, construction professionals or any professional know that there likely and most likely that there are gaps, what we plan and what we achieve. Sometimes we overachieve, sometimes or many times we underachieve. So what is important is that the executing team must give the feedback back to plans done on a very, very periodically close period. And then planning people will have to go back to work on this, that if there is a gap here, what was planned is not achieved, then they will replan it. Replanning also is a continuous process. After the replanning, they will give the feedback back to the executing team that they might have worked out on replanning of the resource, schedules, methods, whatever is there. But this is very crucial, the planning people and the executing team. And this is what I am highlighting, and I will keep on highlighting these watertight compartments. I see many a times at site. When I go to the site and ask somebody, what is happening? He says, no, all that planning has been done in office. I don't know about this thing. I am supposed to only this. Now, this is something is not acceptable, not at all acceptable. This man and this man here, as a team, not only one man, but a team and executing team, on the complexity of the project, the duration of this interchange or exchange will differ definitely. If it is very complex project, then it may happen on a real time. And nowadays we use that word real time. And we are almost coming there, real time exchange. What is happening between planning and execution. Earlier it used to be either weekly meeting, daily meeting, monthly meeting. But very, very important that this loop is not broken any time. And this is exactly what I see. My experience of 45 years, I have seen many a time there is a break. That people do not really consider each other and do this in a continuous loop without a break, which is really the success of the project. Efficiency, operational efficiency by learning from the earlier projects. And that is why this closing becomes very, very important. One of the most important factor what happens, and this is the tendency on a project, what happens here, that many of the people involved in these earlier things are not available here. And this is a crucial phase. Before anybody disappears from here, they must leave back their notes or their thoughts for next man who will come here to close the project, because then only you can learn from the project and improve our project improvement. This is extremely important. So I have elaborated that management process into detail, that what happens in every place, every this thing, and finally we go here. But these two phases should not be forgotten. That is the closest what I told you, that finally the product and vendor evaluation, people we have used here, either agencies are there, subcontractors are there, suppliers are there. We must do the evaluation of that and store that is known as the knowledge management, which goes back to the our archive, so that we can use the evaluation for the next project. Acceptance documentation has to be prepared so that there is no legal complications whether the project has been accepted in all respect. Then legal, contract and budget closure is extremely important. Project archive, I told you that whatever we have learned, we will have to go here, then redeploy the resources. The project is getting closed, resource will be idle here, so they go to the next. And changes are phase in a mega project or any project, we should not take it lightly. And that is the reason I said, okay, there is a pressure from the management to remove the people, but all if they disappear, then this remains to be done, and then the project whether doesn't get satisfactorily completed. So this is extremely important. Now I will come back, like I told you that we have talked about project management process. What is the definition of a project, which I call this as the knowledge area. And I am sure everybody must have really learned about this thing. And this is the knowledge part of it. But I would like to spend much more time on my next chapter, and that is actually the introduction of the management itself. All the parts of that, we call that as a this management, that management, that management. But now I will answer the first and fundamental question. And this is very important, and I would like to deal with this topic or here afterwards little more time. Basically, it is an art of getting any management. We are not talking about a project management, but any management is an art of getting done through and with the people. Very simple, but every word has been put there for its importance. First of all, this is not a science. Management is not a science, and this is one of the mistakes I understand happens, that project of science. But here I will say that it is an art. And what it is for what? Getting done through and with the people. Now, through and with, they have definitive meaning, and they talk about managerial styles. When I say through, it has got a sense of little dictatorial character kind of thing, that I order you do this thing and get it done. And with the people, collaborative sense in this. But finally, it has to be done in both ways. It cannot be only by through or only with. So when to use through and when to use with, that is the art of the crux of the problem is here. And this is where I'll come back, why it is not science and why it is art. Science is universal. Science is, as we understand science, to give you a simple example, 2 plus 2 is 4 for anywhere in the globe you go, any person to person you go, it is same 4. 2 into 3 is 6, and I can go on giving you examples. But when it comes to the art is individual. Art is never universal because as we understand, everybody's perception will vary. Seeing or you must have experienced this. A lot of people nowadays, of course, theaters were closed, but
Meanwhile, let me tell you, we are in the middle of the very important and very informative presentation on project management skills being delivered by none other than Vinaij Gupta, the metro man, we can say, who is presently working with L&T Metro as Hyderabad as a CEO.
Sir, you have to unmute yourself. Yes, sir.
okay, I am able to. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
So I am coming back. There was some technological hitch. I hope that it doesn't happen again and again. But anyway, what I am trying to emphasize that this is unique, personal, and that is why it is little intriguing, difficult, and it is not universal. Environment in which people can perform and cooperate. I am talking about the management. It is true for all the management, whichever management you talk, or project management as a whole. Finally, it is creating an environment in which people can perform and cooperate because they are contradictory. When I talk about performance, it is individual performance, and which is but natural. Every person would like to do better than the others so that he can perform better and rise in the organization. It is kind of a selfish thing that I have to perform, I have to prove myself. And at the same time, I am telling that he has to also cooperate. Now, when I am trying to do better than the others, then how can I cooperate? Because I am in competition with somebody else. My colleague, it may be there. My other superior may be there, or even my subordinate may be there. Because I want to prove myself, come to the best of their situation. At the same time, they have to be cooperative for the team here. Now, if every person is trying to perform independently and individually and at their own speed, then this machine will not function. Finally, it has to be in cohesion with the others' requirement, other performance. It is very, very important. Best way, what is available at that time. See, many a time it so happens that after the project is done, there is a lot of criticism done. That something should have been done like this, something should have been done like this. In my opinion, because there are challenges. This cannot be denied. Everyone will have challenges to face during that. Engineer's job is to find a solution. So management should create an environment or art of making challenges so interesting. Not put their challenges in an interesting manner and their solutions so constructive that everyone wants to get to work and deal with them. The classical example I always remember here is the commander of a defense force in the face of the enemy. You must have seen in the movies, or if somebody has got some real experience, how he addresses his troop. If he is going to lay down his arms even before the fight, telling the troops that we are outnumbered, our ammunition is not sufficient, you just imagine what will be the morale of this team. So this is something like morale boosting, and that has to be done. And that is why I'm telling this is an art of making challenges. Challenges are going to be there. One should not worry about the challenges. There is a adage in our Larsen and worry about it night that we go there knowing fully well there are going to be challenges. But how do I make those challenges interesting to my team or team member so that people get enthused? People get enthused to perform at the same time to deal with that. because finally it's a team success which will happen. The most important and another thing which I have taken away from my experience is that manage others, manage. This is very, very important. I will come back to this because we have expectation. Every one of us, small, big, irrespective of the age or sex or whichever way you look at it, we have our own egos to satisfy. And then when we are doing that, we forget that the other individuals also expecting the same thing. We forget that, and then we do not manage others the way we your superior, whether it is your peer or your subordinate. You must have this in mind that another person also is a human being. He also expects better treatment, and that is what I am telling. That good management manage others the way you would like to be managed. Now, what is the fundamental of a management is basically to establish cause and effect relationship which will serve as a guide to thoughts and action. Whatever happens, it happens in our thoughts first and then it triggers the action. So establishes the fundamental of the management. Management is supposed to establish the cause and effect relationship which will serve as a guide to thoughts and action, which are normally statements of fundamental truth based on logic, solid logic. It cannot be illogical statements that somehow I want to get it done at any cost, I would like to do. No. And it also provides guidelines for managerial decision making and actions. As I was telling, the one of the important job of a manager is to continuously take decisions, make decision and take action. Now, decision making normally is a kind of a thought that before or after we have studied the entire difficulty or the challenge, having decided or having studied all the options, and that is what happens in the thoughts, and then decision is taken and then it gets into action. Provides guidelines for managerial decision making and actions on fundamental truth based on logic, solid logic. Now, all this is on the basis of observation and analysis. Like I told you that observation, past experience, archives of the company's earlier experience, everything can be got into this, which we have learned from our earlier personal experience, organizational experience, or the team experience. And on that basis, or the observation, analysis, which can be decided on the decision making and actions. But this is very, very important. Or if the project is of such a nature that nothing of that sort has never been done, then you don't have any base for observation or analysis or going to the experience. Then probably we do the mock-ups or by conducting experimental studies. This is extremely important for a project of unique nature, never tried in the history earlier. I will tell you one of the largest projects, just to give you thoughts of that at one time, one of the largest projects considered to be was landing a man on the moon and bringing him back alive. That was supposed to be the largest project of the era for the humankind. And experimental studies before they launched into the project of execution, because there were no experiences, there were no history about that kind of thing, and that is why a lot of experiments must have been done, and then they must have taken their decisions and actions. This is a very, very important slide I am showing here. What is the project management knowledge areas? Now I will show you or read like this from years. Basically the scope, knowledge area of the project. Scope, time, cost, and quality. All of us know we normally, all project managers normally concentrate on all these four. What is the scope? It comes even in the definition, that is scope, time, cost, and quality. And many a time, these other knowledge areas are not given that importance. The next important is the human resource. Next important is the human resource, because finally, whatever happens, finally it is a teamwork. Project always is a teamwork. Team may be small of 2 people or 20,000 people, but finally people are involved into, and that is why it becomes very unique. Communication. Communication as a tool. Either it is written communication, verbal communication, extremely, extremely important. I am sure people, unless they pay enough attention, whether what they write or what is received when they read, what it is trying to communicate. Similarly, when you tell something verbally, because this is any misinterpretation of any sort can distort the actions or the decisions. And there are enough examples on sites, on project, that because of the misinterpretation, but because, and then there is a normal say, no, I did not mean that. Nobody can read your mind. And lot of experiments, psychological experiments have been done on this thing, how misinterpretation can happen. And I always go back to my analogy of defense forces. They have got a very systematic way of communication, of telling something and asking that other person to repeat what has been communicated to him. You must have seen their briefing. It is very, very mechanical, or life can be great failure. And that is why they go back, but we have to pay enough attention to communication, either written or verbal. And like I told you, there are experiments done. There is generally they do what is known as the Chinese whisper. It's a very small exercise. That same story is told to 10 people without others knowing each other, and finally they ask the last man to repeat that story, what he has heard. And you will be wondering what he tells and what is the original story. There is a huge difference. Now, how this happened? That is what I said, that enough attention has to be paid. Every document I create on the site or anywhere in the project is a legal document. Many of us we forget. Loose language is used. And when it goes to arbitration or legal processes, then everything really goes around this. That every small full stop, comma is interpreted, and the entire interpretation changes. And that is where all the tricks of the law happens because of the miscommunication. Risk, I told you that risk. Anything? Is there any disturbance? Anyway, risk is extremely important, as I told you, that because whatever we do, there is always a risk. And risk is one of the knowledge areas of the project and has to be managed properly. And that is the reason I am telling procurement. Today, projects are becoming so large that procurement is becoming extremely important. It has become global. Real-time procurement, knowledge on the procurement of many angles. It is not only the cost, but the quality, the taxation, everything comes into that, and that is why stakeholder, many times we use this word. I have a simple definition of any stakeholder. Anybody is affected or affected by the project is a stakeholder of the project. And management of the stakeholders is also very important. And here again, stakeholders are people, and managing people is always a tricky. And that is the reason I said that this knowledge is also important. And like I told you right in the beginning, finally, all this put together in an integrated fashion. That is what project management knowledge area talks about. Now, what I am coming at is that the project manager, normally the project manager we call leader of the team is the project manager. And what I am trying to really convey is that the project appreciation that this is going to be required. What I am really taken out of this thing is only two areas. One is the finance and another one is legal, because they are specialty by themselves. But some working knowledge, at least the working knowledge that at least as some knowledge, because when I need any expert or procurement say, I can always go and hire it out, for a permanent this thing, or I can go to a consultant and get it. But if I don't know what I need, and that is the reason I said what to do, when to do. So when I need all these things, so knowledge is extremely important, and that is where I come to new premises of my this thing. That really speaking, one should not be master of all these things. If you are master, nothing like that. But gather this knowledge area that what needs to be done. Normally, all the concentration goes here. On any project, especially on mega projects, the other things also become extremely important. Somebody mentioned about my last project, which was very large project, and you will be surprised. We were working across the globe. My team comprises of the people coming from different cultures, different nations, different time zones. I am only talking about the engineering side of it. Right from Canada going towards east to Korea and Japan, we had team working at the same time. And then you will understand how important is communication, dealing with the people of different culture, different time zones, communication also there. Then the laws of each country of various taxation laws, their codes. Many a times when you are dealing with the Germans, they will talk about their standard. British, they will stand there. America, they will talk about their standards. So a lot of things are required to keep finally integrated all these things together. I had a team of almost about 700 to 800 engineers working at one time on the project, and almost about 50,000 workers working on the project at the same time, just to give you the scale of a project, what can happen if we do not manage this. The management, that is why I say project management is not a simple thing. It is not only dealing with scope, time, cost, and quality, but all of which. And that is where I come. That finally, project manager, here I'll make a statement, is like a conductor. Now, when I say conductor, actually it is not a bus conductor, but it is a conductor of a philharmonic orchestra. And I'm sure you understand by the picture itself that this is a man who stands with his back to the audience. He's not performing to the audience. His back is to the audience. All his instruments, musical instrument players, they are experts. They are experts in each their field. What violin man is playing, he is expert. Drum, he is expert. Guitar may be expert. Saxophone may be expert. Percussion instruments will be expert. And this fellow has got a very small stick in his hand. And if you have watched this person, he doesn't make any very aggressive movements. His movements are very subtle. He guides those people together one by one, and his hands tell him that it is your turn to play, at what pitch you should play, and that is in his mind because he has conceived the total harmony and he plays with them. And my opinion, project manager is really this. Remove this person from the scene. Just remove this person from the scene, and what you will get will not be music. It will not be good music to your ears, but it will be chaos. All experts playing at their wish and will, time, sense, no integration, and this is what this man achieves. Because when he is there, then you get melody. And in my opinion, project manager plays that very critical role of knowing what to do, when to do, and how to get best out of the people available with me. And that is the reason I said, and he takes last bow when the job is done. If you have seen him, he is all the time with his back to the audience. And only when the job is done, then he will turn around and take the bow, and then the people will really clap for his performance. And project manager is really that. And that is why I said that knowing all these things, you can always, experts are there, but how to use this expertise is part of the project management. Now I'll come to the special skills. The project manager or the project manager, the so-called project manager, he needs to have some special skills, and skills cannot be read or acquired from the books. They have to be imbibed right from your childhood or over a period of time through your experience by role modeling, watching others, visualizing the data. You know that project manager will be bombarded. Every day he will be bombarded with enormous data. So he should be able to visualize that data. Today we call that age of information. Information will be thrown at you, but how to decipher that information and convert it into useful data is a skill. And this is what business management schools teach people in their case studies. Some case is given where a lot of information is giving, and how do you pick up what is really useful to answer your last question? The skill has to be developed. Creativity, because every day you will have a different challenge. So unless your mind is very creative to find solutions, engineers do have job to find solution. Unless you have a creative mind, you will not be able to create alternatives and choose best alternative out of that to take the decision. So practice through experience, again role modeling, how it is. Emotional intelligence. I'll come to this. There was a time when intelligence quotient was given the best of the factor. And all of us engineers are known to supposed to have high IQ. That is, your intelligent quotient is supposed to be high. All of us we know that our brain, left and right, has got some specific skills. One part of our brain is more logical or mathematical. The other part of the brain is more to do with our emotions. There was a time when it was told that a good manager is with high intelligent quotient. But lately I have seen last 10, 15 years, things have changed drastically. Having hard head is not sufficient. That is what the slogan is there. Having hard is not sufficient, but you must have compassionate heart. That is the definition of a good manager. That just having hard head means logical head. 2 plus 2, 4, 2 into 3, 6. And that is how people were trained earlier, and they were not producing that kind of harmony in the project team. And that is why today everybody talks about emotional intelligence. You must have emotional intelligence to balance. I will come to that why it is important. Because finally you deal with the people. And people is one resource which is highly volatile. I am touching here itself because human resource is very, very volatile because all other resources, materialistic resources, whether it is material, equipments, anything about that kind of thing, they will behave exactly the way they are designed to produce. Even money for that matter. All the resources, even if you take time as a resource, it has got a unique way of going forward. The time cannot come back, but time has got sense of direction and it will behave exactly the way it is designed. All other resources are also, they will behave exactly the way they are designed for and utilized only for that. But the third resource, which is the human resource, and somebody told me about the human resource management, today that has become extremely important because the same person given same circumstances at different times may not behave in the same fashion. That is extremely important to understand, and that is what I said, that this is not part of the knowledge part, it is skill part of it.
Sir, due to technical error.
Yeah, he is very much into the flow of this his presentation, and I'm sure this technical snag will be addressed soon as it was done earlier. Maybe some connectivity issue.
No,
I think
now I'm back. I hope you are able
welcome
to.
back, sir.
Now I'll come to this cognitive flexibility is very, very important. That all of us, we have got this problem unless we have this cognitive flexibility. All of us, we wear masks in our different roles and nothing wrong in that. That is how we are trained right from beginning, and it is a self-defense mechanism. This is a psychological study that all of us, when we deal with different people, we wear different masks. We don't behave the same way when I'm dealing with some 4-year child or 5-year child, or when I'm dealing with my family, friends, my superiors, or my this thing. So I have this kind of flexibility to change my behavior the way it is required. But unfortunately, some people over a period of time tend to lose this flexibility and their mask starts becoming rigid. And you must have seen this kind of people, whether they are in any environment, they behave in the same fashion, and that is not really good. We have to maintain that flexibility because that is where your caliber is gauged by the people, and that is how they respond. Negotiation, I don't have to say anything. Every day, every hour of our life, we are negotiating something. And still people say that we have to learn this negotiation, art of negotiation, science of negotiation. There are special classes conducted of negotiation. But we will be negotiating with people, we'll be negotiating with the circumstances, we'll be negotiating with the problems. And that is why I said this becomes very important and a special skill has to be developed. And finally, not the least, last but least, this all boils down to people management. Because like I told you that what is the project management's role? Basically to have a predictable result, both in terms of your time, cost, quality, all that predictable result. That is why I resort to project management, that I need to have a predictable result of finally ending my project. And unfortunate part is that I have most crucial resource which is unpredictable. So unless I pay special attention to this people management, it will be very difficult to manage projects. Another thing I want to tell you about this, when I talk about the knowledge and the skills, to use the knowledge, while we are learning knowledge, there are tools also taught in the project management business schools. Tools of managing scope, tools of managing time, tools of managing quality, tools of managing cost. But tools are only way of doing it. That doesn't make you expert or the skill to use those tools. This is what comes from my experience that many times young engineers come to me and I ask him, what are you? He says, I am a planning engineer. Then I ask him, what do you know about planning? He says, I know Primavera or MS Project. Then when I go into details, but he doesn't know the activities. He doesn't know how to sequence the activities. And that is where I say that you have learned part of it, but not the whole. You know the part truth, but not the whole truth. And those are the skills which come from the experience. So learning tools is extremely important. I am not saying that they are not important. But learning tools and using the tools, right tools for right job, should be the another really fundamental thing, that do not use the tools which are highly complicated for simple jobs. This is what many times people tend to use just because the tool is available. Simple jobs can be managed with simple tools. Every time you don't have to go to the most complicated tool just because you know that. But that is what I want to tell, that knowing the tools is not the project management, but the use of those tools in right fashion is the project management. This is what I come back, because my focus really on a project management or deciphering project management is that if you are able to manage your resource well, human resources 12. That is basically what happens is that acquire and develop the team. Many a time, there are a lot of exercises that are done. What is how to prepare a team, how to develop a team, manage and motivate the team. This is very skilled job, how to motivate. And I know all of us will know that we have this kind of experience, that some people say that it's very difficult to work with this person. And there are instances where somebody will tell that I can do anything for this person. Now, what makes the difference is his management of the resource development, human resource development, human resource management, team building and working in team. Extremely important. It is not only work building the team, but working in team. Leadership and developing of leaders. I don't know whether you will agree with me, but one of the most important function of a leader is to develop leaders. It is, of course, leading the people is there, but he has to be really thinking of developing future leaders. That is one of the roles. And finally, make most effective use of people involved in the project. I have been telling this, how to bring best of everybody. It is very easy to see that people are useless. Personally, I never agree with that. God has created all the people with something in them. It is the top leaders to understand what are good and how do I extract out of it. Many times we see these people are useless. This fellow doesn't know anything. This fellow doesn't know. I conclude that this man doesn't know how to get best out of his team. And that is why I will harp again and again importance of human resource management. And here I would like to just share with one experience. Stanford University, about 15 or 20 years back, they did one research. Stanford University did one research. They contacted 1,000 most successful leaders in their own field, different variety, different fields. And one question, number of questions were there, but one of the questions was there that which is the quality that you will give maximum marks for your success. And you will be surprised. Almost 80 to 90% gave same answer, that my ability to manage my human resources. And that is the reason they say that talent is the king. The one who can manage their talent well will be successful project manager. Project communication, I have been telling you, these are different things. Identify stakeholders. Anybody who is affected or affected, he can be a single person, he can be a group, he can be a very small person. Like a Hyderabad Metro, if I have to give you example, Hyderabad, probably every Hyderabad person on the street was my stakeholder because I was affecting his lifestyle. We are working right in the middle of their this thing, and his either his travel was affected, his safety was affected. So I have to identify the stakeholders and plan communication with this thing. And I have learned that best way to communicate is to be transparent. There is no point in hiding something and telling lies. Lies can get exposed and then you can lose your credibility in no time. But if you are able to communicate properly and transparently and give them, people will stand by that. And I am telling you this from my own experience in Hyderabad. I will anytime give millions of thanks to actually the people on the street who stood by us. Because without them, it would have been extremely difficult, but they also knew that what they learned is truth. We never told them that we will not disturb your life. We have been continuously telling, pardon us, we are likely to disturb your life, but we are taking utmost precaution to be least disturbing you. And that way they could see that on the side, and that is what I have. Distribute information uniformly. There should not be any favoritism. Uniformly distribute the information. And finally, manage the stakeholders' expectation, a Herculean task. Herculean task because expectations can be anything, and you will not be able to do that unless you are God. But manage that the way better manager. then report performance. That is very, very important. That is celebrate. Anybody doing well, do not be miser to give credit to him. I'm talking about the project management or deciphering project management from the project manager's perspective. Celebrate. Human nature is that we like celebrations. Whatever small thing you achieve in a project, they need to be celebrated time to time to keep the team together, to motivate and report performance in very unbiased manner. Finally, I'll come to this conclusion. This subject is so vast. I don't know really whether I have done justice to this. But finally, I will come to this that it is conclusion is that I told you planning is the fundamental foundation of any project management. Project management without planning or disturbed planning cannot be successful. Getting organized to do everything in execution, planning, monitoring, and all the things, then leading and controlling. Here, control doesn't mean that I have a heavy hand just because I am a boss. I am controlling. Here, controlling is used from the perspective of monitoring. Not because I am a boss, I can control anybody, not like that. But finally, it is more of monitoring what is happening and then giving the decisions or taking actions. So, to cut short, again, whatever I have running is almost 8:45. But I am not too sure whether I have done really the justice because the subject is really vast. But my plea to you, because the way project has been defined, I will come to a very small crux of the project is that project has to have fixed time, fixed scope, fixed budget, and fixed quality standards. And I am sure every one of us in whatever level you are performing, even if you are not a project manager, I am sure whatever you do can be converted into a project. And you should start practicing the principles of project management even when you are not a project manager. People feel that I will start behaving as a project manager only when I sit in that chair. It is not. Everyone should consider himself a project manager. It may be small, depending on at what level of the hierarchy you are working. It may be small, medium, mega, or whatever is there. But that is the only way you can learn the tricks of the project management the way I have understood, and that is what I am telling. Do not wait. Do not wait for that opportunity of becoming project manager because then it will be too late. You cannot be sitting in the project manager and learning what is project manager. It is only way is to do role modeling with whom you are comfortable, observe successful people, how they are achieving this, and that is way to go about it. And finally, like I told you, it's a tango together, nothing individual. You work together. Project management, deciphering is basically a teamwork. Teamwork with an environment of allowing everyone to do his best, but in the spirit or in the benefit of a team. And I don't have to give you example of the sports where we criticize that this particular player is not a team player. We don't want to be part of that, especially on large projects to be successful. Every word what I have said is from my personal experience, and I hope at least I will be able to convey to you something. So I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity with an apology that I am sure I have not been able to do full justice in the limited time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Believe me, you have done all the justice, and your points are well taken. Your tips which you have given certainly are very much useful for successful management of any project of civil engineering. Thank you so much, sir. Now, though we have limited time, but yes, we can entertain a couple of questions.
Question you can write on.
किसी को कुछ अगर सवाल करना है, see, being a orator and extempore speaker, I understand that he has conveyed the message very loud and clear. and most of our doubts are already being addressed. And certainly project management क्या होता है, ये उसके नुस्खे क्या है, फिर भी अगर किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो वो यहाँ पे पूछ सकता है.
Or somebody can share my email. If somebody wants to send me email, I would like to answer that to my
Vivek, in the meantime, somebody asked question. Gadgil Sahab, I just want to ask from your
to ask one question.
So, and Tade Sahab?
Yeah.
एक मिनट.
Yeah.
So Gadgil Sahab, मेरा सिर्फ you to share some of your major experiences since you have handled one of the biggest project of the metro.
Because I was told that this is taken at one time was also largest, not only in India but also in the world. So we wanted to build a robust team of experts, and that is what I really concentrated initially on, bringing people from various into my team. But all others, especially the and that is why I concentrated on that. Periodic communication. Like I told you that my roster for meeting was fixed for a year. I had this fixed idea that I will deal with my people every 15 days without break. No change in my schedule. Every 15 days I will meet with all my head of the departments. Another thing I'll tell you, one of the things which I'll tell you, we will spend only 5% time patting our backs. What went wrong, we don't want to discuss. I want people who will clear the hole. That was my message to all my team members. See, many a time in projects you will see that many people are there who will only put holes. Without understanding their responsibility is not to put a hole, but remove the hole. And that is what I said. Engineer's job is not to put hole, but find a solution and remove the hole. And this rest of my time I was spending on stakeholders. It was a very complex project from finance angle also. Bankers I had to deal with, government authorities I had to deal with. So that is the reason I said it was a little complex. But I have put into compartments my time share where it is required. At the same time, I had a very open door policy. You can check with anybody. I am not in a meeting or already with somebody. My secretary had a very clear brief. Somebody comes at our door and if I am there, please to talk to me. This is what I told you, communication. Fair communication with all of us. And that really made me, and I will all those people really work very hard for the success of the project, looking at me that we will be together. It's very difficult to share exact experiences. But these are some of the thoughts I had in mind. Compartmentalizing, no watertight compartment, then and there problem. I'll tell you one experiment I had done and very successful. We had a war room. I don't know whether you heard this word war room in our.
We also
where we did not do war with each other.
Yeah.
Though it was called until the problem is solved. Because there were a lot of interface issues. Somebody's decision will affect somebody and they have to come there and sort out. And it was, even though we are not very advanced at that time with the technology, it was almost on real-time work by different means. These are the techniques we use, and probably I have gathered this experience throughout my career on various projects of different nature, but this was the last, really the giant project of ultimate test. And I think I have done it quite successfully.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, sure.
That is all I can tell.
Thank you, sir. Please raise your doubt.
Yeah. Gadgil sir, it was a very good lecture. I am Dr. K.C. Taide, working as quality control head for Maharashtra Metro Rail project, looking after Nagpur and Pune projects. So my question, in metro we say that safety first and quality must. But when I see the project management by the contractors team, many a times the progress is given the due importance or more importance over quality. So what should be the perspective of the project managers regarding the quality and their team? Because I also see that the quality teams or the quality heads of the contractors are not given due importance. And many a times they also say that they are not given as much as increment as the execution team. So when quality is important and has to be there, then why these things are creeping in and diluting the role of the quality? So what should be the perspective in general of the quality of the project managers?
I will answer your question in two parts. First
Yeah.
is that it is the culture and ethics of the organizing team, whoever is operating there. That it has to come from them, from their own culture and ethics, that what should be the priority. But this particular question I will answer you in a different way, which normally whenever I do this lecture on project management with the students or the executives, I ask them, there are four things. One is the safety, one is the quality, one is the cost, and the schedule.
Yes.
What is your priority if you are a project manager? That is my simple question to you. And because we don't have got much time, but here I'll tell you very clearly,
Yes.
in my opinion, the right perspective is the safety first.
Yeah.
And not only slogan. You must walk the talk. Safety first.
Yes.
Because that is very, very important.
Yeah.
Then comes your quality. Then comes the schedule.
Yes.
And then comes the cost. Now somebody will be surprised. He says, how a project manager can put cost at the last. But like I told you, all are important, but this is my level of priority because I'll tell you they are interdependent.
Very
Because
right, sir. Very right.
You may not understand, but the cost of quality there. Would I like to work under unsafe conditions? As me, personally, would I like to work? Then can I force somebody to work under unsafe conditions? I have forgotten that what I'm trying to preach. Manage others the way you would like to be managed. If I want to be working in safe condition, I want every person on my site work in safe condition only. Second, then the quality, because quality, I can go on talking on quality.
Yes.
Bad quality means rectification, wastage of money, wastage of time, bad reputation, your brand evading value. It can cost you heavy. Then the schedule. I am very particular that I need, because why project management? I want to complete my project in time.
Yes.
And let me tell you, if I manage all these three well, and if my original estimate is right, then I don't have to worry about the cost. It will take its own care because they are interdependent.
Yes.
But my perspective is very clear. We cannot sacrifice safety because they are also human.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir,
Any more question?
Okay, that's fine, Sandeep.
Yeah.
We can
Okay, thank you,
discuss
sir.
with also
Yeah.
so much time. Means we can go on discussing like this, but don't want to do that.
Sir, believe me, your lecture has been received very well. We are, going through the messages which are there in the message box, and everyone is appreciating, the way you shared the things with us. Now, also, Mr. Manoj has shared the email address of Vinaij Gupta, sir. I request all participants to kindly raise your queries through email directly to the Gupta, sir.
No, and if you want, you can share my presentation also. There is no secret about it. Knowledge is to be sharing. There is nothing secret about it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sandeep, do it because many people would be benefited.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, please.
Accepted. Okay. So really, it was a pleasure to listen to you, and your experience and exposure was reflected through every word you spoke. Believe me, बहुत मजा आ गया, sir. And most of the members are really happy and contented. And with this addition, with this rider that they will be getting your presentation, I think everybody would be happy. As a sir, once again on behalf of ICI and ACC, I thank you for being a part of this wonderful proceedings and for presenting yourself on the occasion of celebration of Cement Day.
But on the particularly, I would like to really thank the organizers, both from ICI as well as ACC, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you.
Thank you.
This is the virtual felicitation. So one of our colleague, he visited today, Mr. Gadgil, and he has presented this book and memento.
No, this is a really new life. That even before my presentation, I was felicitated.
Sorry, it was in the anticipation. So really, it was in the anticipation that you will be delivering best because we know you very well. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us on this occasion.
And like I told you, that feel free to call me anytime. This is one of my closest to my heart.
Yeah.
I can go on sharing or talking, no problem.
Yeah. Sure, sir.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really, we had a wonderful evening. Because of COVID restrictions, we are feeling very sorry that we could not host a dinner for you. लेकिन ये वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के बाद आप अपनी खुद के जगह पे, अपने घर पे, अपनी जगह पे आप खाने का उसी इंतुजियाज्म और स्पिरिट के साथ आप आनंद लेंगे, इसकी मैं आशा करता हूँ। और हम सब
ACC ने कूपन दे देना चाहिए था सबको।
और हम सब एक दूसरे को उस डाइनिंग स्पेस में बिल्कुल ही मिस करेंगे, लेकिन कोविड के रिस्ट्रिक्शंस है, हम ज्यादा कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते।
Actually, one message came just now that people are asking some message from Mr. Gadgil to the youth, to the young engineers. Any message, sir, from your side?
Sure. First thing is that don't be apologetic that you are civil engineer.
Absolutely.
You should be proud that you are a civil engineer, builders to the nation, and you have big. I would say that it's a lot of future for you. So don't get apologetic. Learn the tricks of the trade, but there is really enough opportunities for you. And I'll tell you, I feel that pain. The project sizes, the project complexities are so enormously increasing that it is really you people are in the right time to face that challenge and have that enjoyment of delivering large projects. I had that problem. Every time new project I hear that somebody has secured such a large project is there, then I said I missed that opportunity because of getting born very early.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sandeep sir, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom on this occasion. Now we are into the last segment of this wonderful evening. May I request Chandrasekhar Nidorkar ji, the customer service Athwada and Khandesh for the.
Thank you, sir. मैं as a ICI member and ACC team, as a ACC team member, मैं आप सबका धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। आप सब लोग यहाँ पर जो आए हैं, खास करके विवेक सर, जिन्होंने आज अपना मतलब कल से हम लगे हैं, उसके लिए वेरी वेरी थैंकफुल सर। फिर हमारे विनय सर जो हमारे साथ जुड़े रहे। फिर हमारी ICI टीम अरुण उत्तरवर सर, गणेश चौधरी सर, इंजीनियर मोइन खान साहब, विवेक चंद्र सिंह सर और अरुण उत्तरवर सर, वीरेंद्र दरड़ाई सर और पूरी ICI टीम नागपुर, मैं आप सबका धन्यवाद देता हूँ। और हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट जिन्होंने अपना बहुमूल्य टाइम आज दिया है,